So Combined Lab is a space where students develop baseline skills and knowledge to practice PT. And those skills and knowledge, we call them competencies. So the students have a spreadsheet of competencies for each semester that they're charged with learning at a self-directed pace, and then we have a scaffolded assessment process where they demonstrate levels of mastery with those techniques. And they have to do several levels of peer checkoffs on those. They have to do instructor checkoffs on those.
You get so many different perspectives as you're doing these checkoffs. By the time you're seeing the instructor, you've already worked with 3 to 5 of your peers, and then 1 student that's a year ahead of you. And in that time, you get so many different concepts of, well, I do this a little bit differently, or this other way works for me. So by the time you see the instructor, 1, you feel really confident that you know how to do the task that you're about to do, and you get to develop your best way of doing it, what works best for you.
And then once they've done enough of those, then they're able to apply those in a patient case context, and that's kind of the capstone demonstrating mastery of those competencies in that term.
I personally love case assessments. I don't know if that sounds kind of weird, but I think it's an opportunity to, 1, show your stuff, show what you've learned and that you know how to apply it, and it's an opportunity to really put yourself to the test. Like you don't necessarily have all your notes, and you get to just go in and see where you're at, and you also get constructive feedback, and you get to identify areas that you may need to work on a little bit, but I weirdly think that they're fun.
So Combined Labs for the first year students. The second year students are going to be involved in a mentoring capacity, and also in a we call it kind of a GA or second level check capacity, where because they've had exposure to the material previously, and they've been tested off on the material previously, the expectation is that they're in a position where they can assess whether the first year students are competent, whether they've successfully completed these competencies or can demonstrate that.
Being a GA is really cool because you get to have a hands-on influence on the learning experience of the class below you, which is a really, really cool opportunity. And you get a little added bonus of having a refresher on content that at this point is a year old for us. But it's really fun because it floods back so quickly. So it's an extra pass at this information, and you get to directly aid in the education and the experience of the class below you, which is really, really cool, and it feels very collaborative.
For the second year students in their combined labs, then they have usually instructors from the faculty, but also adjunct from the community involved in helping with some of those checkoffs.
My favorite part of instructor checkoffs is that you get one-on-one time to pick the brain of somebody who has so much knowledge, so much experience. Some instructors more than others you get to work with more often, but then every once in a while, I've done instructor checkoffs with the director of our program, who has 40 years of experience in the clinic, and I just love to squeeze as much knowledge out of them as I can, and so I really enjoy it.
A driving philosophy of this program is that we don't treat body parts or conditions, we treat people. So we intentionally want to structure our learning experiences so that students don't have to operate in silos, but that they're going to have to operate in an integrated health system. So the Combined Lab is one of our innovative ways to employ new educational theory and knowledge into a way that students are going to get to learn the skills that they need in an integrated context that will be easily translatable to clinical practice.
When you work with a person in real time, a patient in real time, it's not as though you're just treating their musculoskeletal system or their neurological system. You're treating the whole person. And that's the point of the Combined Labs, is you're looking at the whole person, you're combining all the content and treating the individual, and not just the unique system, but you're considering all the systems and how they integrate.
We definitely have a culture of low stakes assessments, so that by the time you're in a higher stakes situation, you know what you're doing. And I think when you're a brand new first year, I remember going into my first checkoff with a student a year ahead of me, and my hands were shaking and I was really nervous. But you, like they say, you do it so many times, you get so used to it that you really build up the confidence. And the culture of the program is that it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to quote unquote fail. And so you start to feel very confident in yourself and reassured that you're in a safe environment to make mistakes and learn from them. And to me, I think they do feel low stakes with a little bit of time.
Combining the competencies with the self-directed environment of the combined labs, and then the different levels of assessment that we also integrate. I think that all together, that package is fairly unique.
I love that I go to school here. I seriously, like all the time, I'm like constantly reaffirmed